Ever wondered how to perfectly cook and season asparagus? Today we're peeling back the layers on this elegant green veggie. Asparagus is a culinary darling, versatile, nutritious, and oh so tasty. But it's not just about tossing it in a pan. There's an art to unlocking its full potential. You need the right method to cook and season it, transforming those spears into a tender, flavorful delight. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to make the perfect asparagus dish every time. The first step to perfectly cooked asparagus begins right in the grocery store. Selecting the freshest asparagus is key to achieving that crisp, tender finish. So what should you look for? Firstly, the color. Your asparagus should be brightly colored, ideally a vivid green. Any hints of yellow or white may indicate age and a loss of flavor. Next, let's talk firmness. Your asparagus should be firm and sturdy, not limp or wilted. Give it a gentle squeeze. It should feel solid and resilient. If it bends easily, it's likely past its prime. Size matters too. While some might think that thicker stalks mean more flavor, that's not necessarily the case. The thickness of asparagus doesn't determine its flavor, but it does affect cooking times. So go for uniformly sized spears for even cooking. Whether you prefer thin or thick stalks is entirely up to you and your cooking method. Now that you know how to pick the perfect asparagus, let's move on to the preparation process. Before you start cooking, it's important to prep your asparagus properly. This veggie might seem high maintenance, but I promise it's simpler than it looks. Start by giving your asparagus a good wash under cold running water to remove any dirt or grit. You'll want to dry them well. A salad spinner or a clean kitchen towel does the trick. Now, let's talk about trimming. You might have heard of the snap method, where you bend the asparagus until it breaks, supposedly where the tender part ends and the tough part begins. But I find this method can be a bit wasteful. Instead, I recommend using a knife. Simply line up your asparagus, then cut off the bottom inch or so. You'll be left with the tender, delicious part of the stalk. Lastly, if your asparagus is particularly thick, you might want to peel the lower 2/3 of each stalk. This ensures a uniform texture from tip to end. With your asparagus prepped, you're ready to start cooking. Now comes the fun part, cooking the asparagus to perfection. There are plenty of ways to cook asparagus, from roasting it in the oven to blanching it in boiling water. But today, we're going to focus on one method that truly brings out the flavor and keeps the texture just right: sautéing. Sautéing is a quick and easy process. To start, you'll need a large pan and a bit of olive oil. Heat the pan over medium heat, then add enough oil to lightly coat the bottom. Wait for the oil to shimmer, that's how you know it's hot enough. Next, add your asparagus to the pan. You want to hear that satisfying sizzle as the asparagus hits the oil. Spread them out in a single layer, giving each spear some space to breathe. This ensures they cook evenly. Now this is the key part. Don't move them around too much. Let the asparagus cook for about 3 minutes on one side. Then give them a quick flip to cook for another 2 minutes on the other side. You're looking for a vibrant green color and a slightly crisp texture. Remember, you want your asparagus tender, but not too soft. It should still have a bit of a bite to it. So keep an eye on it and adjust your cooking time as needed. Once your asparagus is cooked, it's time for the final step, seasoning. The final step to perfect asparagus is all about the seasoning. The beauty of asparagus is that it pairs well with a variety of seasonings. But today, we're going to focus on a classic trio: lemon, garlic, and olive oil. To start, you'll want to squeeze the juice of half a lemon over your sautéed asparagus. This adds a burst of brightness that brings out the natural flavors of the asparagus. Next, you're going to mince 2 cloves of garlic. Sprinkle this over your asparagus, making sure it's evenly distributed for that added depth of flavor. Then, drizzle about a tablespoon of good quality olive oil over the asparagus. This will help the flavors meld together and give the asparagus a glossy, appetizing finish. Give it a gentle toss to make sure every spear is well coated with this symphony of flavors. And there you have it, the perfect, flavorful, and tender asparagus. Bon appétit!